Welcome to the yoga method and your Vinyasa practice for today. At the top of the mat, coming into Samastitihi, closing down the eyes and feeling the connection to the earth, the length and the strength of your own body. Beginning to cultivate your Ujjayi breath, breathing with sound. And setting an intention only if you wish. Sealing the intention with one more full, deep, deliberate breath in. And on your exhalation, releasing your hands as you open the windows of your eyes. Surya Namaskar A. On the inhalation, let your hands reach high, looking up to your thumbs. On the exhalation, bend your knees as much as you need to, coming into a forward fold, releasing your head and your shoulders last. On the in-breath, hands to shins or fingertips to floor, lift the belly before bending the knees enough that you can ground the hands and step back to your high plank. Lowering through chaturanga on knees or toes and taking a baby cobra or an upward facing dog. We can move to child's pose or downward facing dog. And the invitation to always come to child's pose anytime you need a little breather. Through our first downward facing dog, if you're there, please let's cultivate some movement so that we can really just feel where the body is needing some more space, more length, more openness. Gazing between your feet, spreading your fingers wide. Feeling strong and powerful in the shape. Taking one more breath with movement. And then let's find stillness together. If you're in child's pose, please come and join us for one more full breath in and out. On the inhalation, to the tips of the toes we go. Exhale, bend the knees to prepare. Look where you're going. Stepping or hopping, we'll lift and lengthen on the in-breath, hands to shins or floor, before exhaling into the forward fold. Press through the earth, send your arms high as you anchor your tailbone, and release your hands down and around to Samastitihi. We'll do two more. So full breath in. On the exhalation, over we go, releasing head and shoulders last, looking to our knees. On the in-breath, looking forward as we lift and lengthen before stepping or hopping, transferring through chaturanga on knees or toes. You can flip the toes one at a time or slide up and back before we move to child's pose or downward facing dog. Breathe in together. Let's stay in our stillness. Are you spreading your fingers? Are you spreading your toes? And then there's a really dynamic pressing down into the hands and scooping through the belly, almost feeling like an angry cat to maintain the stability through the shoulder joints. And then that deliberate lifting of Mula Bandha, the deliberate drawing up of the lower abdominals, Uddiyana Bandha. Taking one more full breath in and out. We'll rise to the tips of our toes, bend our knees to prepare. Walking or hopping, we'll lift and lengthen on the in-breath. Exhale, chin towards the shins as we forward fold. Rise and reach, touch the ceiling before releasing your hands down and around to Samastitihi. One more time. Inhale, circle and sweep. On the exhalation, leading with your heart, release your head and shoulders last. On the in-breath, we shine the light of the heart forward before stepping or hopping. Shift forward, elbows tight, belly strong. Energizing and opening through front body as we lift up and back to downward facing dog. Spread your fingers, spread your toes, gazing between your feet or between your knees. And then feel how the in-breath moves us into a little bit of flexion. And the exhalation allows us to create more length through the spine. Taking two more. Breath in. Breath out. So even in stillness, there is still movement occurring via the breath. On your next inhalation, to the tips of the toes we go. Exhale, prepare. Walking or hopping, we lift and lengthen. Exhale, pour yourself into your forward fold. Rising on the inhalation, gazing to the thumbs, hands down and around to your sacred heart space, Samastitihi. Surya Namaskar B. We'll bend the knees. We're checking that the big toes are touching. We'll inhale, arms to reach forward or palms together. On the out breath, down the midline of the body as the hips get light and the head gets heavy. Inhale, hands to shins or fingertips to floor, flat back. Before we step or hop, deja vu, chaturanga. Energize back body to open front body to Urdhva Mukha. Before exhaling up and back, Adho Mukha. On the in-breath, to the tips of the toes. On the out-breath, bend your knees to prepare. Right foot between your hands. You'll pivot your back foot, and it's a little bit wider. So think hip distance or shoulder distance. Variation 1, hands resting on the knee. And variation 2, hands can reach above, maybe pressing your palms. So this is Virabhadrasana A or Virabhadrasana 1. Taking one more full breath in. And on the exhalation, lift your back heel, frame your foot. Inhale to high plank. Exhale, straight and strong, chaturanga. Open front body before lifting up and back, downward facing dog. On the in-breath, to the tips of the toes. Exhale, bend your knees, look between your hands. Left foot steps forward. If you get stuck, just give yourself a helping hand. Pivot your back foot, widen your stance, and then either hands to your thighs as we lift, or circle and sweep hands above. Maybe the palms are pressing. Maybe you're looking up to your thumbs. Taking one more full breath in before we release on the exhalation, lifting the back heel. Frame your foot, slide to high plank, knees or toes, eyes forward, belly strong. Squeeze the heels to the midline as we draw collarbones back before lifting up and back, staying in our downward facing dog. Spread your fingers, spread your toes, gazing between your feet or between your knees, and feel the dynamic nature of the breath as it affects the spine. One more breath as we lift to the tips of our toes. We exhale, bend the knees to prepare. We'll walk or hop, lift and lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. Are your big toes touching? You'll bend your knees, reaching your hands forward on the in-breath, maybe palms press, before standing tall to Samastitihi. We'll do 2 more B's. So coming low into Utkatasana. On the exhalation, down the midline, hips light, head heavy. On the in-breath, hands to shins or fingertips to floor, flat back. Before stepping or hopping, transferring through chaturanga. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. To the tips of the toes on the in-breath. Exhale, bend your knees, right foot ready. Step between your hands, pivot your back foot, and rising to Virabhadrasana A. And shoulder distance, palms together, only looking upwards if your neck will allow. Taking one more full breath in. And on the exhalation, lift your heel, frame your foot, slide to high plank, chaturanga. Finding this beautiful back bend shape before lifting up and back, down dog. Rising to the tips of the toes, bend your knees to prepare. Left foot steps through, pivot your back foot, widen your stance, press into your feet before you circle and sweep. Find the perfect expression, pivoting through the heels, pressing palms if the shoulders will allow. Just one more breath in before we exhale. Lift the heel, frame the foot, slide to high plank. Strong and straight chaturanga. Warming the body through these 3 namaskar A's and B's. Stay and breathe in your downward facing dog. Can you bring a beginner's mindset to a shape that you've probably done a gazillion times? What new insight can I have into the shape, knowing that repetition is the key to our yoga practice feeling meditative? Just one more breath in and out. On the in-breath, tip, toe, exhale, load the body, and then lightly stepping or hopping, lift and lengthen, big toes are touching. Exhale. Before bending into Utkatasana, reach the hands forward as the breath comes in. Exhaling to Samastitihi. One more B, so one breath, one movement on this last round. So we breathe in together as we take our seat. On the exhalation, we lengthen the legs, we release the head and the shoulders. On the in-breath, we lift, we lengthen, we look forward before stepping or hopping, traveling through chaturanga. How open can you make the front of the body before you lift up and back, downward facing dog. Lift to the tips of the toes. Bend your knees on the exhalation to prepare. Right foot stepping between, left foot wide as we inhale up for just that breath before exhaling down and through. We're still exhaling, and then we breathe in before lifting up and back. One breath to the tips of the toes, please. Exhale to prepare. Left foot, widen and pivot your back foot before rising on the in-breath. And then exhaling, 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 exhaling. Inhale, upward facing dog. Before releasing, downward facing dog. So finding connection to the hands and to the feet. Bending the knees as much as you need to make the shape really therapeutic for your body. And right on cue, here is the sun. One more breath in and out. We'll rise on the in-breath. We'll exhale to prepare on the out-breath. And then we're stepping or hopping, lifting and lengthening. Exhale into our forward fold. Bend your knees one last time before reaching your hands high and standing tall to Samastitihi. Please step back with your left foot and let's just come straight into Virabhadrasana 2. So in Virabhadrasana 2, we have heel to heel or heel to arch alignment. We're checking that our hip and knees in one line, and we can see our big toe on the inside of that right knee. Press into the outer edge of your back foot, and our drishti, our focal point, is our middle fingernail on that front hand. Please take 2 more breaths as you stretch the skin across your heart. One more full breath in and out. On your inhalation, we'll lengthen through our front leg without locking it. We'll extend until we feel our end point. And then we'll simply land our hand on our thigh, our shin, or our ankle. There's a micro bend in the right knee, and you're physically rolling the flesh of the thigh open. And then we counter that by rolling the torso towards the ceiling. Your left thumb is right above your mouth. Your shoulders are sliding away from your ears, but you feel so powerful through your feet, through your legs, through your core. One more full breath in. And on the out breath, looking down, bend deeply into your right knee and come back to your Virabhadrasana 2. Please extend over the knee, just as you did in Trikonasana, and then landing your elbow taking your ankle or reaching to the inside of that foot and encouraging the shoulder towards the knee. Your top arm can reach high, or you'll reach all the way over, spinning the pinky finger down. We'll roll the heart open again, and you'll either gaze to the floor or the palm of your left hand. So think length through the top side of the body. Charge your back leg, your left leg. Finding 2 more breaths. 1 more full breath in. And on the exhalation, I'd like for you to look down, pressing strongly out of your right foot. Return to that Virabhadrasana 2 one last time. On the inhalation, lengthen through your right leg. Turn your toes slightly in. Catch your hands to your waist. On the inhale, a little baby back bend before we move into a wide leg forward fold. So bend your knees as much as you need. And then on the first in-breath, exaggerate the length of your spine before we ease our way in. Walk your hands back so the heels of the hands are aligning with the heels of your feet. Shift slightly into the balls of the feet if it feels safe. And press energetically into the pinky toe side of your feet. Pelvic floor is lifted, lower belly's lifted, but the breath is primary. One more breath as you are. And on your inhalation, just press the earth away. Lift your heads, lift your hearts on the in-breath. On the exhalation, hands to your knees or to your waist. Bend your knees as much as you need to safely come up to standing. And exhale, just anchor your tailbone, please. One more wide leg fold. Inhale, open through the throat and the heart. And then please leave your hands here, but bend your knees again as much as you need. If the body will allow, lengthen through the legs. Allow the crown of the head to search for the floor. And lift your elbows high like you're holding an imaginary beach ball between your elbows, please. Shift slightly into the balls of the feet. Re-energize your feet, your legs. Taking 3 more breaths. One more deep breath in and out. Please bend your knees as much as you need. On the inhalation, we rise all the way to standing. And on the exhalation, just anchor your tailbone. We'll pivot towards the back of our mat, the left end of our mat. And we're setting up for Virabhadrasana 2. So checking that you have heel to heel or heel to arch alignment. And then once you have checked that, a little gaze down to align hip and knee, knee above ankle. And you're checking that you can see your big toe on the inside of your left knee. How long can you make your arms? How strong can you lift through pelvic floor? But at the same time, finding lightness and softness through the neck and the shoulders. Just one more full breath in and out. We'll lengthen through the left leg on the in-breath without locking the knee joint. And on the exhalation, you'll reach till you find your end point. And then hand to your thigh, to your shin, to your ankle, as we send our right hand high. Grip with your feet, whoopsie, and please micro bend through your left knee if you locked it. And then rolling the flesh of this leg slightly outwards. We'll roll the bottom ribs around and we'll gaze to our top thumb if the neck will allow. One more breath in before looking down on the exhalation, bending deeply into your left knee. Press out of the left foot to rise safely back to your Virabhadrasana 2. We'll extend once again, just as we did in Trikonasana. And then we're taking elbow ankle or all the way to the earth. From there, we'll reach our right hand all the way up and over. We're encouraging our left knee to the pinky toe. We're dynamically lengthening through the top side of the body. One more breath in. And on the exhalation, gazing at your left big toe. Press strongly out of your left foot to help yourself back up, lengthening through that left leg and turning your toes slightly in. Please take a breath in as you lift through the heart. Flip your thumbs, interlace your fingers behind you. Knuckles to the floor, hearts to the ceiling. And then bend your knees as much as you like. We could stay right here. Variation 2, we'll just tip in a little bit. And variation 3, you'll lengthen your legs more and let gravity take your arms as far as your shoulders are happy to go. Shifting into the balls of the feet, pressing into the pinky toe side. So strong through our legs and through our core, but allowing the shoulders to soften. On your next inhalation, bend your knees as much as you need, rising all the way up, and on the exhalation, anchor your tailbone. Inhale, hands to your hips. Finding one last front body opening before we begin to slide the hands to the knees, to the ankles, or maybe peace fingers, pistol grip your big toe. Seal the bind with your thumb, touching your index finger and your second finger, and then lift through your heart, through your head to prepare. And on the exhalation, pour yourself in. So the elbows are high, the wrists are buoyant. That just means don't collapse through your wrist. Please really make the arms part of this powerful forward fold. So we're physically using the abdominals to draw us in, but we're using the arms to enhance it. You'll recreate that tiny little shift into the balls of the feet. Crown of the head is searching for the floor. 2 more breaths. On your in-breath, please lift through your heads and hearts. On the out-breath, hands to your knees or to your waist. Bend your knees as much as you need to safely come up to standing. And then we'll pivot 10 step all the way to the top of the mat into Samastitihi. Close your eyes for a moment. Reconnect with your intention if you set one. And then please release your hands, opening your eyes. Separate your feet hip distance. Maybe a slight pigeon toe as you lift and open through front body, breathing in. On the exhalation, slide down the thighs, down the shins. And once again, the invitation to use your peace fingers around your big toe. Seal the bind, and then let's take a breath together to lengthen, to reestablish our posture. And on the exhalation, chin to chest, gently drawing yourself in. Shift into the balls of the feet. Use your core and your arm strength to draw you just the tiniest bit deeper. Even in this posture, deja vu, shifting in to the balls of your feet if you feel safe. Just one more full breath in and out. On the inhalation, I'd like for you to lift your heads, your hearts. On the out breath, hands to your knees or your waist. Bend your knees as much as you need to safely come up to standing before sending your arms wide. Flip the thumbs. Bring the hands behind you, finding your wrist, your forearms, your elbows, or reverse namaste. So reverse prayer. Once you've arrived there safely, it is your left leg that's heading back. Square the pelvis, lift through your heart. moving into your version of pyramid pose. So if you need the support of your hands, just pop them on your thigh. Option to keep the chest parallel to the earth, or if you feel like there's some spaciousness to still work with, we're bowing the chin towards the shin. Draw your right hip back, left hip forward, staying and breathing for 3 more breaths. On your inhalation, lift your heads and hearts. On the exhalation, bend deeply into your right knee so that you can rise safely. Leave your hands as they are turned towards me just for a moment, and then pivot all the way to the back of your mat. Square your shoulders, square your pelvis, lift through your heart as you take a breath in, and then pouring yourself into your pyramid pose on the other side. So lift your elbows, press your palms. Please feel free to stay with your heart parallel and the invitation to use your hands on the thigh. If it feels good, bow that little bit deeper, making any micro adjustments you need. It's the left hip back, right hip forward. That's the critical component. But powerful feet, legs, and core. 3 breaths. On your next inhalation, chest parallel to the floor if you're not already there. Exhale to bend deeply into your left knee before you rise up on the in-breath. We'll pivot all the way back to the top of the mat. Step your feet hip distance apart. Release your hands wide. And then please just bow yourself back into a forward fold. Hands on thighs, hands on shins, or sliding the hands underneath the feet for Padahastasana. So the toes are pressing into the crease of the wrist if you feel safe. The big toe is pressing into the flesh of the thumb. We'll take 1 breath in to lengthen the spine, engage the core, before gently, gently drawing ourselves in. If you feel safe, we shift slightly into the balls of the feet. The abdominals are drawing the torso closer, and then you physically could pull your hands out. They won't go anywhere, but that action of pulling on the hands will draw you in just that little bit more. Last 2 breaths. On the inhalation, you'll lift through your heads and hearts. On the exhalation, hands to your knees or to your waist. Inhaling all the way up to standing, stepping your feet together to Samastitihi. Let's move to the earth, please. So circle and sweep your hands high. We'll go through a Vinyasa to make our way into the next part of our class. Inhale, flat back before bending the knees so we can step or hop. Chaturanga Dandasana. Energize and open before lifting up and back, downward facing dog. We're going to land with the feet between our hands. So you might just simply walk your way there, or you could lift to the tips of the toes, bend your knees, and perhaps hop there. Once we've arrived there, we lift and lengthen. And then I'd like for you to set your fingertips forward, lift to the tips of the toes, and begin to bend your knees. So from here, listen, for some of us, the knees and the ankles aren't happy in a squat like this. So if that's you, please, 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 just take a seat. And this will be your stepping stone. So variation 1. We're taking a twist in a seated position. You'll reach high with your right hand, and then you'll bring both hands just onto the floor, if that's possible. So right hand lifts, and you're bringing it across the line of the body, taking a gentle twist. Variation 2. You're going to do the exact same things, but we're balancing. So you'll ground through your left hand, reach with your right, and then bringing both hands over across the line of the body. So from here, just a couple variations. So option 1, and stay grounded. Variation 2, we're hugging that elbow in, pressing our palms together. So stack the elbows, create some rotation by pressing down into your right elbow. So whether we're seated, whether we're on the tips of the toes, we're all in it together. Eye gaze steady for 2 more breaths. 1 more, please. And then if you're seated, you will stay exactly as you are. If you're elevated, we're coming back to this shape. Arm balance option, just an option. No one ever needs to go there, but we're spreading the fingers, we're lifting the hips, and we're shifting slightly until we feel a tipping point where the feet start to get light, possibly. So belly strong, elbows strong, heads of the shoulders lifting away. Taking 3 more breaths into the side bakasana. 1 more breath before we land and release. Ground for a moment. Give your wrists a little reprieve. And then we'll come to the other side. So if you're seated, reach high with your left. Come across the line of the body. If you're balancing on the tips of your toes, ground with the right hand, reach with the left, and please forgive me as I turn my back on you. So we're pausing here. So option 1, ground the hands. Variation 2, if you feel like you could balance on your toes, we're taking prayer position. Drive down with the left elbow. Use the abdominals, the obliques, to create the rotation with the arm strength. Stay for 3 more breaths. One more, please. We'll all either reground the hands or we'll experiment with side bakasana, side crow. So spread your fingers. You pick up the hips enough that you can shift and catch your elbow to your thigh and perhaps your hip as well. You'll find that there's a tipping point, but please keep your head lifted. If you try and look at your feet or your hands, your body tends to follow you. So find the strength of the core, really loop the shoulders away. 3 more breaths. One more breath before we all gently land. Take a seat. Roll out through the wrist 3 times one direction, 3 times the other way. And we are in the perfect shape to move straight into our boat pose. So variation 1, the heart is lifted, the shoulders are back, and we create just a slight lean until we feel the abdominals engage more. But the abdominals need to stay drawn in and up. Variation 2, hands will reach, toes stay on the floor. Variation 3, shins parallel. Draw your knees close to your chest. Draw the navel in, pelvic floor up. 3 more breaths as you steady your eyes on your big toes. 1 more breath, please. Before crossing your right foot over your left, knees to your chest, hands down, feet down, bum up. Land your hips, uncross your feet, and we go again. It doesn't matter which version you're choosing. One more breath before we cross the left over the right, knees in, feet down, hands down. Lift the hips and release. Just 1 more, please. Find your connection. Find your ideal position. Final option to lengthen those legs if it feels available. One more breath. Cross, lift, feet down, hands down, bum up. Before gently releasing, take a vinyasa. So you might swing your legs around, or you can crisscross the ankles and gently move through your chaturanga. Be really powerful through your legs to safely open the front of your body before lifting up and back. Downward facing dog. We're coming through to a seated position, so you might crisscross your ankles and take a seat. You might just land your knees and swing your legs around. If it feels safe, a little hop, as we transfer the feet all the way through and move into Paschimottanasana. So draw the feet back. Please reach high as you breathe in together. And on the exhalation, those peace fingers are again reaching for the big toes. Bend your knees as much as you need. Take a breath in. And on the exhalation, easing your way in as deeply as it feels good. So we're gazing at our big toes, but if your chest is resting on your thighs, you're welcome to release your head if that feels better. Please feel the action of your feet, and that helps to enhance the action of the quadriceps, which helps to inhibit the hamstrings so that we can find a little bit more depth in this posture. One more breath as you are. On your inhale, lift through your heads, lift through your hearts. And on the exhalation, we'll sit back and bring our left foot in to Janu Sirsasana A. So the foot can be below or above the knee, depending on how the hip joint is feeling. And we can also bend through the right knee, any amount. So square your shoulders, take a breath in to establish your posture. And then ease your way forward, and the moment you feel it, you're there. So maybe your hands are on your thigh, your shin, your ankle. If you're binding, it's the left hand across the sole of the foot, holding onto your right wrist with your thumb and your index finger. We're rolling our left ribs towards the right inner seam. We're consciously relaxing through our shoulders as we gaze at our right big toe. Just one more breath. On the inhalation, lift your head and pause. On the exhalation, sit back. You might decide to repeat that pattern again. If your knee joint will allow, your hip joint, we're tucking our left foot back and we're placing the heel on the outside of the hip. And we're trying to square through the pelvis and square through the legs. So this might not feel okay to you, and if that's the case, come back to Janu Sirsasana A. We'll all repeat the same pattern of lifting high on the inhalation, and on the exhalation, respecting that first little bit of sensation that the body offers. We're rolling the ribs, we're gazing at our right big toe. Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, working to support the spine. For 2. One more breath in. And out. On the in-breath, we'll lift our heads, our hearts. On the exhalation, we sit back. Whatever shape you took with that leg, you're going to keep it. And now we're bending into our right knee. So if there's pressure through the hip or the knee joint, we'll just bring this foot back here. Okay, it's perfect. It's the exact same shape. If your hip feels comfortable to maintain that shape, perfect. You'll stay right there. So variation 1, we're lifting tall. We're focusing on our posture because it's most important. Variation 2, you'll interlace your fingers and you'll take the sole of your foot. Lift again, and maybe the heel comes off the floor, and maybe it doesn't matter. And if your hamstrings will allow, you're welcome to lengthen through that leg any amount. That same bind can happen with your left hand going across the sole of the foot, and you're gazing at your right big toe. One more full deep breath in and out. Please just ease your way out of that shape. We're taking a vinyasa before we come to the other side. So waiting vinyasa is just sitting and focusing on your breath. A moving vinyasa will cross over or swing the legs around, meeting in our high plank before moving through our chaturanga. Enjoy this back bend. This should be our last upward facing dog. before lifting up and back, downward facing dog. So remember, you've got the option of crisscrossing to come through to a seated position, landing your knees and swinging your legs around, or perhaps exploring just a little hop, crossing the ankles, and see if you can get your legs to come through before releasing them down. So Janu Shirshasana, second side, right foot comes in above or below the knee. We're bending through the left knee any amount that we need. We're breathing in together to establish our posture. And then we're moving into the depth of the shape that feels therapeutic and wonderful to our bodies. Roll your right ribs towards your left thigh, gazing at your left big toe. And encourage your right knee to the floor through the action of the muscles in the back of the hip. On your next inhale, lift through your head, through your hearts. And on the exhalation, sitting back, keeping the shape. If that second option of tucking the heel to the outside of the hip, but aligning the thighs does not feel good to your knee. Once you've chosen your shape, you'll energize through your left foot as you reach high on your in-breath, and you'll ease yourself forward on the out-breath until you feel just that first little bit of sensation, choosing the option that feels best to your body. Roll your right ribs towards your left thigh, stack your heart over your knee, gazing at your left big toe. Shoulders relax. One more breath. On the inhalation, lift your heads, your hearts. On the out-breath, sit tall, choosing to keep whatever shape you had. And now we're bending into our left knee. Option 1, simply establish your posture. Please stay there. Variation 2, we're interlacing the fingers, cupping the sole of the foot, and then re-establish your posture. Only if it feels good, a little lift of the heel, and then just explore any range of motion that your left hamstring will allow. If you took the bind, that's still a possibility in this shape as well. And then gazing towards your big toe, wherever it is, find your length, find your breath for 3. One more full, deep, deep breath in. And on the exhalation, gently ease your way out of that shape. Taking both legs out long. Please give the legs a little reprieve. And finish with a Paschimottanasana. So ease your way forward. Maybe you're catching your big toes again. You could grab the pinky toe sides of your feet, or you could even interlace around the soles of the feet. We breathe in together, and then on the exhalation, we just let it all go. Last breath. On your inhalation, please lift through your heads, through your hearts. On the exhalation, sitting tall, bend your knees, and please roll yourself all the way down. We're coming into our back bend shape before our inversions, but take a moment to hug your knees to your chest, deload your spine. And as always, that moment to celebrate our efforts. The moment we stepped onto our mats, the victory was ours. We'll ground through our feet. We'll use our peace fingers to check that our heels are equal. And then you might want to lift your head to check that you've got good hip to knee alignment. If you're going into Dhanurasana, so a back bend, you'll probably want your feet a little bit wider. If you're coming into a bridge with me, we'll just stay here. So everyone's going to do the prepping into Dhanurasana today, but no need to lift. We'll just work on the stepping stones. So we press into the feet dynamically, and we anchor the tailbone by coming into a little bit of a pelvic tilt. And then from there, begin to lift through your tailbone, through your pelvis. So in this shape, I want you just to wiggle, wiggle, wiggle until you really feel like you're pressing back with your shoulders so that there's less weight through your head. And then dynamically press with your feet like you're trying to straighten your legs. They will not go anywhere. The only action that can happen is your pelvis moves higher. So from there, variation 1, hands on the earth. Variation 2, reach for the ceiling. Variation 3, hold the ceiling with your hands, okay? Nothing more needs to happen. If your wrists will allow, you keep that same shape through your hands. So all I did was bend my elbows and place my hands by my ears. So my thumbs are basically pointing towards my ears. Now the elbows will splay wide. So we are going to squeeze the elbows in just like we did in our forward folds. And this is where I'd love for you to stay. So the next krama, the next stepping stone, is just to come to the crown of the head. If that feels safe for you, please go there. But there's very little weight in my head. It's literally all in my hands. But choosing the expression. And you're welcome, of course, to go into your full wheel. Wherever you are, be powerful through your feet, through your hamstrings, through your glutes, and through your core. Stay for 2 more breaths. One more full breath in before you release to the back of your head. And if you're in that prep, reach for the ceiling and then release your hands before you roll down through your upper back, middle back, lower back, tailbone. And to counterbalance a back bend, we move into flexion. So hug your knees in. And I'd love for you to lift your head and your shoulders as well. Just pause here for a moment. Use your core to draw you a little bit higher. Before you release your feet. And I'm realizing I'm laying on a microphone, so hopefully it didn't switch off. And then pause for a moment with your knees together and your feet wide. Oh, a fly has found my face. Last 2 breaths. And then let's reverse the shape. Soles of the feet together now, knees wide. Close your eyes and breathe. Return your feet to the earth, bring your knees back together, and we're moving into our inversion. So variation 1, our restorative, beautiful inversion is our happy baby pose. So you would stay stationary for 5 breaths, and then you'll move for 5 breaths. And then you'll bring one heel in to open out, the other heel in as you open out, and then perhaps finishing with both legs wide. If shoulder stand is part of your practice, instead, we bring the knees to the chest for a moment. We lift the pelvis by using the abdominals and our fingers. We walk the hands to hold the back of the pelvis with the pinky fingers on either side of our spine. And this is a beautiful place to begin, keeping your knees bent. So there's less stress and strain. If it feels safe, you'll lengthen through the legs. But I want you to notice that I don't have my feet over top of my face. I don't want the weight through my neck. So deliberately stack the pelvis, the knees, the ankles, and the toes. Energize and really reach with your feet towards the ceiling. And then drive down with your elbows and your shoulders so that the neck stays free. If there is any discomfort in your neck, you'll immediately come out of this and come into your happy baby pose. Ananda Balasana. One more breath here before we begin to move into plow pose. So plow pose, the hands stay on the pelvis to support us until the feet can find the floor. Once the feet find the floor, we have support. So then we can release the hands to the earth or interlace the fingers, but be powerful through your legs. Point your toes, big toes together. And then really press dynamically down with your shoulders to keep the neck open for 2 more breaths. And final variation, my happy baby crew, you're working on the inner seam now. Shoulder stand, crew. Your knees are moving to your foreheads for one option, or you're cupping your head with your knees. Your knees are blocking your ears. So it's this idea of now really deliberately drawing the senses inwards, pratyahara, which we've been doing since the very first breath we took. If the feet are not on the floor, if you're feeling any strain in your neck, pop your hands on your pelvis or come out. Happy baby crew, you're finishing with a double wide leg. My shoulder standers, you're returning to your halasana plow pose. So hands on the earth if you're coming down with straight legs. And if you're coming down with straight legs, you skim your legs to your face. If you're coming down with bent knees, catch your pelvis instead. So whatever version you like to take to transition out of your shoulder stand sequence, perfect. Pause for a moment once you've arrived there. And then let's come into our fish pose. So hands either beside the pelvis if you're lifting your hands for that final option, or hands underneath the pelvis. So you would lift up, slide your hands under, thumbs touching, palms down. You'll tuck your elbows in. You'll press your shoulders back. This is option 1. Variation 2, look at your toes. Variation 3, keep looking at your toes, but your back bending. Variation 4, the head releases. And variation 5, feet can lift. And if you're not on your hands, variation 6, your palms press together and they match the angle of your legs. Just one more breath before gently releasing our version of Matsyasana. And please turn your palms up, let your feet fall out, and take a moment just to really enjoy this sensation. One more breath. And when you're ready, bend your knees. Please gather your knees to your hearts. Give yourselves a beautiful, gentle hug as you rock from side to side. So we'll finish with a headstand prep. So headstand technically is a forearm stand, meaning there should be very, very little weight through your head, because biomechanically, from an anatomical standpoint, our head is not meant to be weight bearing, okay? So shoulders, forearms, with light weight through the crown of the head. A wall is your best friend, but let's just rock and roll our way up. You'll cross your legs or swing your legs around, okay? And come into a 4-point kneeling position first, and then I'd like for you to come down to your forearms, and you'll catch the opposing elbow, okay? This is how we landmark the position for our headstands. From there, we interlace our fingers, the thumbs are touching, we're pressing down fiercely, and this is all I want you to do. So press into your pinky fingers, your forearms, and your elbows. Think angry cat between your shoulder blades. Tuck your toes and just lift your knees. So we need to be able to support our entire body weight through our shoulders. So this funny little shape is such a powerful tool for helping us create the strength we need through our cores and through our shoulders. Taking one more breath and then just land. Sit your hips back, wiggle your hips from side to side briefly. And then variation 2, we'll do the exact same setup. So we're pressing down, thinking angry cat, lifting through the knees, just hovering. And from there, our next little stepping stone is to move into what looks like a downward facing dog on our forearms. This is dolphin pose. And you can walk your feet in as closely as you like. The crown of the head can kiss the floor, but there's really no weight through the head. We're pressing so strongly through our arms that there's hardly any weight. So staying in your version of the shape for one more breath. Whatever option you're choosing, it's perfect. And then we'll gently land, shift the hips back, and rock gently. So if headstand is not part of your practice, I want you just to repeat one of those two again. And today we'll just come halfway. We'll just work with a couple little options or stepping stones. I cannot stress enough that your head is not weight bearing. The neck is not built for weight bearing. And a wall to catch you if you're moving into learning how to do headstands is your very best friend so that you don't come over top. So once again, interlace your fingers, the thumbs are touching, and we're creating kind of a cup with the hands. So in this shape, I'm going to snuggle my head towards the floor, and I'm literally holding the back of my head. And then we're going to take that shape again of either just the knees hovering or moving into dolphin, but there is no weight through my head, really minimum. I'm shifting to the balls of my feet, and you might find just bringing one heel towards your hip, and you might find that you're able to lift through that bottom leg a little bit or not. Just stay for a couple breaths. And then we'll gently land, and we'll repeat on the other side. So bring that heel towards your hip, just come to the tips of your toes, and there's a point where the feet start to get light, just like our Barkasana. Wherever you are, press into your pinky fingers, your forearms, your elbows, staying for 2 more breaths. One more breath before we gently, with as much control as we can, come out of that shape. You'll release your hands, you'll drape them behind you, and you'll release your forehead and your shoulders. So repetition, right, is the mother of all learning, but repetition is also where the magic begins to happen in terms of our yoga practice. It can begin to feel mundane, perhaps, but the magic lies in the mundane. The magic lies in showing up consistently, patiently, persistently. Not pushing the body, just doing a little bit every day. Let's take one more breath. And then easing your way onto your back, just lift through your head for a moment. You might swing your legs or cross your ankles and just ease your way onto your seat before you lower yourself all the way down onto your back. And gather your knees, find your breath as you gently rock from side to side. And then when you're ready, just settling into your stillness. And I encourage you, if there is anything else that your body's craving, you'll take it. This is your practice. And then we'll soak up all the goodness that our yoga practice brings. Alignment of our mind, our bodies. Integration of our values and our virtues. An opportunity to notice our habitual patterns when things get a little challenging. And gratitude for this body, for this day, for this lifetime, and for the practice of yoga that we share. Showing up for ourselves so that we have more to give, so that we can be of service to our family, our friends, our community. Yogis changing the world one breath at a time, one person at a time, through the ultimate superpower of love. Love for ourselves, love for each other, love for the world. I invite you to take 3 more smooth, slow, deep breaths into your stillness. And when you are ready, and only when you're ready, you'll begin to really expand your breath. And that allows us to feel the entirety of our bodies once again. And when you feel ready, inviting gentle movement back into the body, through the fingers, through your toes, your hips, your shoulders, your necks. And if your shoulders will allow, taking a full body stretch from fingertip to toe. One breath, exaggerate the right side of the body. One breath, exaggerate the left side of the body. And then bending your knees, sliding your arms down and around. Gather the knees to your hearts. Hug yourselves lovingly. Rock your bodies very gently before rolling lightly to your right hand side. Just linger for a single intentional breath before we push the earth away, navigate our way into a seated position, any position that feels good to our bodies. Stacking our shoulders over our hips, bringing our hands to Anjali Mudra, reconnecting with our intention one last time, and closing our practice with a bow. Namaste. Thank you, beautiful yogis. I hope you've enjoyed your practice, and I look forward to seeing you soon.